Hey nature photographers, it's Lee Hoy. I am here in Panama on Isla Bastimentos at the Tranquil Bay Eco Resort, right in the middle of a Wildside Nature Tours photography workshop. I'm actually getting to co-lead with a fellow OM System Ambassador, Chris McGinnis, and it's been an absolutely incredible workshop. Tomorrow is time to head back to Panama City and then home. We have primarily been focusing on macro photography. It's been really impressive how far our clients have come. Many of them have never used flash, and they're capturing phenomenal macro images with flash, using diffusers, adjusting their settings. It's really impressive to see how well it's going. Beautiful grounds, been in the jungle at night, been going to other islands for different Ufaga Pomilio, or known as the strawberry poison dart frog. They have a lot of different color morphs. We've gone to a chocolate farm where we had Dendrobates auratus, the green and black poison dart frog. We've seen monkeys, sloths out the wazoo, down low. It's been really incredible workshop. And I thought, since we've primarily been focusing on macro, that the topic of today's video would be some macro fieldcraft tips and techniques. So I talk a lot about fieldcraft. I'm going to be talking even more. Stay tuned. Be right back. Howdy from West Texas. I'm Lee Hoy, professional nature photographer, and this is my YouTube channel, Lee Hoy Photography. I'm an OM System Ambassador, photography workshop instructor for Wildside Nature Tours, a precision camera and video, and contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. Well, let's jump right into macro fieldcraft with tip number one. My first tip is, quite often for macro, when you're walking around a jungle at night or at home or in the backyard, to get the best angle on your subject, taking into account your background, your lighting, you often want to assess that angle before you kneel, sit, or squat. Quite often when we kneel, sit, or squat, if we're lucky and our subject is cooperative, if it's an insect, an amphibian, a reptile, then we want to assess the best head angle, the best background angle, the best lighting angle if we're not using flash. So you don't want to just kneel, squat, or sit, because doing that and then making adjustment is when we're likely, to scare a subject. I've been having lots of drainage here and my voice is not doing well. So what I try to tell people, before you just kneel, sit, or squat, really pay attention to your angles. Try to capture the best angle, whether you want a side shot, a head-on, if you're going to focus stack. Take all of those things into account before dropping into position. Sometimes some subjects are easier to get close to if you drop a little ways back and then slowly slide forward on a knee or your hind end. If you're standing, then we're going to lean in slow. We may lean side to side, but it's better to make minor adjustments after you've knelt or sit or had a seat or squatted than it is to make major adjustments, because we don't want to spook our subject. Tip number two for macro fieldcraft: understand when you have a cooperative subject and when you don't. Cut bait quickly when a subject is just not cooperative. There are some insects that are constantly on the move, okay? And they're in unpredictable routes. Those do not make very good subjects, and it will lead to a lot of frustration. If you have leafcutter ants, like here we have them all over the place, where they're traveling in fairly predictable paths. That's much easier, even though they're regularly on the move. Certain wasp species are just constantly hunting, okay? And they're forever moving in every different angle, and it can be very frustrating trying to photograph them. So if you have a cooperative subject, work it. Take plenty of shots. One of my sayings I'll talk about is, there are no bonus points for brevity. Keep that in mind. So, tip number three, watch where you step. You never know, like if you've got a bush and you've got a butterfly on a flower, if you step on a slightly downed limb and move the whole bush, you may well spook your subject. So before adjusting your feet, look for branches, live or dead, attached or unattached. Look for branches sticking out or big leaves. Here in the tropics, some of these plants have big leaves. Are you about to hit something that's going to spook or dislodge your subject, right? particularly if you're working on something that might sting you like a wasp. You want to pay careful attention to the items you may bump that could cause you problems. If you got a tree branch coming out and you've got a nice katydid hanging on it, or a katydid, squatting down in an agave leaf, well, you want to be real careful what you're bumping into, because we don't want to spook a cooperative subject. So macro Fieldcraft tip number 4. Here we go, tip number 4. If you're using a flash diffuser, pay close attention to how close you are to your subject. You don't want to bump your subject or the leaf it's on, or the branch, or some other item with your diffuser. And because your diffuser is much bigger, sticks up taller, it's easy to catch things with it because it's hard to gauge looking around. Pay close attention. It's easy to mess up a potential image when you're using a diffuser. You kind of have to get a good sense of distance with your lens and your diffuser, and over time you'll just kind of be able to second guess without looking how close you can get. So that's important. Tip number 4, when using a flash diffuser, take into account its mass when you're trying to approach a subject. Some subjects that may be tucked in under a lot of branches and leaves may not be good subjects for that very reason. So tip number 5, macro Fieldcraft tip number 5. Watch for backgrounds or items that are coming into the background that are much brighter than your subject, especially when using flash. So if you have a bright leaf, a bright branch, something pale creeping into the back of your image, and your flash hits it, that hot spot is going to be very distracting to your final image. So if at all possible, try to dodge those. Sometimes you have to chimp and see, because with your naked eye you might not be able to pick out that there's a branch or something that's catching too much flash. So I tell people, macro and you're using flash, you do need to chimp and check your exposure, check your background. Okay, so this is one time where my chimping rule kind of goes out the window. So again, we're watching for backgrounds or subjects that are creeping into our background that can be hot spots that can be distracting to the eye. Finally, macro Fieldcraft number 6. I highly recommend, regardless of where you're shooting, long pants, long sleeves, especially in the tropics, in the south, places where you have plants. If you have poison ivy or poison oak nearby, poison ivy and poison oak don't transfer from clothes to your skin, right? So I can walk through that with long sleeves, long pants, and as long as it's not touching my skin, I'm fine. So I want you to think about protecting your skin from plants and occasionally stings or insects. I tell everybody, particularly in the tropics, shorts and sandals. I know some people think they're cool because they wear them, or they don't worried about things. Buddy, you rub up against the wrong thing, or you kneel on the wrong thing, you touch the wrong thing, your trip might end in misery. So long pants, long sleeves. I've got on one of my fly fishing shirts. I've got on a pair of my cool pants, KUHL, and I'm ready to get out in the field. It's been an awesome experience. Red-eyed tree frogs, both recently metamorphed frogs, poison dart frogs, all kinds of amphibians and reptiles, brown vine snake, lots of great birds. If you want to hone your macro photography, be sure and join Wildside in Panama in 2025. And in 2025, I'm starting an OM system only workshop, macro, in Costa Rica on the Osa Peninsula. I've already got 2 people signed up for it, and I don't even have it on the website. So watch for that to hit the Wildside website. As always, get out in the field and go capture some visually compelling images. We'll see you later.